It's funny. It sounds like a new way, but it's actually a way that I've always had, but I've never talked about it. And that's what I'm doing on SoulConX. And I really want to bring this whole spiritual awareness that I have had, but didn't understand it. And but because of that, I know that I'm able to help other people come into more alignment with who they are due to that. And so when I started coaching that 30 years ago, I started to discover that I could read people in a particular way. It was this intuitive sense that came through. I didn't even understand what it was, but I will tell you, I started with vocal coaching first, and I was getting such extraordinary results. And I'm thinking, why is this happening? And then I recognize I'm not even paying attention to the music or whatever might have been going on. I am paying attention to the individual. I had this ability to internally look at them and see what was happening and understand how I could make this connection between how their voices weren't operating correctly and what might be going on with them emotionally, spiritually, or what they were withholding. And so I started figuring it out, but I didn't talk about it. And I did that for years and years and years until several years ago, I decided, okay, I know that I've developed this thing about empowerment, so I need to go into that. That was a great step. I went into that, but then I thought there's more to it. And I wasn't talking about that because I knew that this spiritual side, this intuitive side was always there. But I thought maybe if I talk about it, people will think I'm a little crazy, a little weird. When in actuality, that was the thing that I actually needed to speak about. And Soul Connects was the place that gave me the platform to be able to do that. This got thrown at me. I talked about this the other day, and I wrote, in my writings that I do every single day in my meditation, and I said, sometimes you have to be tricked into becoming yourself. You have to be tricked into doing what you're supposed to do. And a couple of weeks ago, someone contacted me and said, is there something that we could do for you to promote you and promote your business? And I said, well, that sounds wonderful, but I didn't have anything. And these were people who do podcasts, they produce podcasts. So I said, okay, I'm going to do a podcast. I just made it up on the spot. I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to call it, What's the Answer to My Question? And I don't want to know anything. I don't need to know anything before. I just want them to come with one question. Now, some people did email me things beforehand, but I said, I want to be on the fly, be on the screen, working with them and seeing what we can come up with. I'm going to use this ability, this intuitive ability that I've used since I started with the vocals and I'm into the empowerment. I want to use it here. But I also understood that a lot of people don't know how that works. So I thought, what better way than to be able to have them hear it or see it in video and through a podcast. And that's where the idea came from. And as I started doing it, I thought, oh, yeah, I'm really good at this. Why wasn't I talking about it before? And this is the thing that I find with every single client. I'm really transparent about this because I said we all have next levels of ourselves that we can move to. And sometimes we're not willing to do that. And I'm the person to help people do that. During the 80s, 1980s, I met some people who were doing a Ouija board. And I thought this was fun. It was just, we were just going to sit there and do this. And it was a really terrific thing. And we had a lot of fun with it. But then we started saying we were really receiving information. And it was weird. We were getting words and paragraphs and all this information coming through. And it was so strange. And these two guys were doing this and they had this amazing spiritual connection where they could access this information. And one of the guys unfortunately died in 1980 and 1988. And after that, nobody could do it anymore. They were the ones who had this connection. We do have what we call, these twin flame soul connections or whatever, and they had that. And so when we started to say, well, let's see if we can do it, didn't work. So now I'm left with, okay, I was getting all this wonderful information. Now where am I going to get it? And so in 1988, I was going through a really big change in my life, not knowing what to do. I happened to read an article where someone talked about automatic writing. This guy said he sat down and did automatic writing and it gave him answers. And I didn't understand it, but he said he just meditated and asked for questions and see what came through. I thought, okay, I'll try it because I was desperate. I'll try anything at that point. And as I started doing this, and nothing happened. And then one day I started hearing something and I thought, am I making this up? Is something coming through? But I started writing. And when I would look at it, I thought, this is information that I didn't know, that came through me from somewhere. I don't, can't figure it out. But I figured this is the gift that I've been given and I'm supposed to develop it. But I'm telling you, it still frightened me. I didn't tell anyone about it for years, except my close friends and some family members. Not even all my family, because I knew they would think I was a little strange too. And then in about 2005, somebody outed me. Somebody found my writings and said, "Oh, I really like this. Maybe we could. Would you send them to me?" I was actually embarrassed to tell them where, or not embarrassed, but just kind of frightened somehow to tell them where this came from. Yes, it came from me. I wrote it. And we all have that ability. We have this intuitive side. We always have, we know that something's speaking to us and urging us on and doing something. And when we can interpret it in a way that's going to help us, which I call empowerment, then we can live the lives that we have always wanted to live. But it was a process for me. And so I do this every single day. I meditate and I write it and I put it on the site. And I know that people are receiving value from that.